An average soldier in the United States Army fires around 40 rounds in a year. Not in a day, in a year. That is roughly what it takes to complete the standard rifle qualification. 4 small magazines, a course of fire against a set of pop-up targets, and for a great many soldiers, that is very nearly the whole of their shooting for the entire year. Now hold that number in your mind, 40 rounds, and set it against this one. A Delta Force operator can fire 1,000 rounds in a single day. Not in a year, in a day. That gap, 40 against 1,000, is the entire reason no ordinary soldier can ever hope to outshoot these men. And once you understand it, the mystique falls away and something far more useful takes its place. Because the truth is not glamorous. It is not that Delta operators are born with superhuman eyes or magic hands. The truth is volume. It is repetition on a scale almost no one outside that world will ever experience, sustained for years, until the act of putting a bullet exactly where it needs to go stops being a skill the man performs and becomes a reflex his body owns. To understand how they get there, you first have to understand just how little the average trained soldier actually shoots. Start with that qualification. The modern Army marksmanship test has a soldier engage a series of targets at varying distances from different positions, and the whole event is built around a small, fixed number of rounds. Qualify, and you are certified for the year. For the infantry, there is more, of course, live fire exercises and additional training, but across the wider Army, for the enormous number of soldiers whose job is not primarily to kick in doors, marksmanship is a box to be checked once a year and then largely forgotten. They are not bad people or lazy soldiers. It is simply not the center of their job. The rifle is a tool they are required to be safe and competent with, not an instrument they are expected to master. Now step into the other world. In the world of Delta Force, the rifle and the pistol are not tools a man is competent with. They are extensions of his body that he must be flawless with, under stress, in the dark, while moving, while exhausted, with innocent lives inches away, and the only known method for reaching that level is to shoot, and shoot, and shoot again. Operators run through drills by the hundreds, drawing the pistol, transitioning from a rifle that has run dry to a sidearm in a fraction of a second, clearing a malfunction without looking, reloading in the dark, firing on the move. Each of these gets repeated thousands upon thousands of times, day after day, year after year, until there is no conscious thought left in it at all. That last part is the key, and it is worth slowing down on. Under real stress, the thinking part of your brain becomes slow and unreliable. Fine motor skills fall apart. The only actions you can count on are the ones you have burned so deep through repetition that they run on their own, without you. This is why volume is not just about getting a little better. It is about moving the skill out of the part of the mind that fails under pressure and into the part that does not. A regular soldier, firing 40 rounds a year, never gets close to that transfer. A Delta operator, firing thousands a week, lives on the far side of it. And the live rounds are only part of it. For every bullet an operator sends down range, he performs many more repetitions with an empty weapon, drawing, aiming, pressing the trigger on nothing, drilling the mechanics until they are smooth and identical every single time. He rehearses in his mind, walking through the sequence of a room or a shot before he ever touches a trigger. The famous volume of live fire sits on top of an even larger foundation of dry practice and mental rehearsal, so that by the time a real round leaves the barrel, the motion has already been grooved thousands of times over. The bullet is just the final confirmation of a movement the body already owns. And we are not guessing about these numbers. One of the men who ran that training has spoken about it openly. Pat McNamara spent more than a decade in Delta Force and served as the unit's senior marksmanship instructor, the man responsible for building and maintaining the shooting standard at the very top of the American military. Since leaving, he has taught these methods to civilians and police, and the picture he paints is consistent. The volume is enormous, the standard is merciless, and it never lets up. If you enjoy having the myths replaced with the real mechanics, subscribe to War Code, because the next part, where all these rounds actually get fired, is the part that separates this unit from everything below it. It happens in a place called the shoot house. Picture a building, sometimes reconfigurable, with real rooms and real hallways, where operators practice the most dangerous thing they do, which is fighting inside a structure with hostages present. And here is the detail that stops most people cold. They do it with live ammunition, real bullets. And in the most advanced training, There are human beings standing in those rooms, role players acting as hostages, as live rounds are fired. Operators clear those rooms, engaging targets that represent threats while live people stand nearby playing the innocent. There is no margin. There is no second take. It is the ultimate expression of trust and precision. A man firing live rounds in a space where a fraction of an inch of error could kill a teammate, and doing it so many thousands of times that the fear is replaced by pure, cold competence. You cannot fake your way into that room. You earn it with rounds, tens of thousands of them, fired in every imaginable condition, until you and the men beside you trust each other's aim the way you trust your own. That trust is not a feeling. It is a statistic, built one bullet at a time, and it is why the standard is not merely high, it is a different category of thing entirely. Because it is not only about volume, it is about what the volume is aimed at. The Delta standard demands speed and precision at the same time, which are natural enemies. Slow down and you can be precise. Speed up and precision usually collapses. Their entire training exists to shrink the gap between those two, to make a man both fast and exact, to put a precise shot on a small target, at speed, under stress, possibly with a hostage a few feet away, and a strict rule that the hostage must not be touched. That is a standard almost no other unit in the world is built to hold, and there is only one road to it. Repetition, past the point of exhaustion, past the point of boredom, until the impossible becomes automatic. That training is built out of specific, repeatable drills, each one hunting a different weakness. There is the drill that demands a fast, accurate pair of shots to the body, followed instantly by a single precise shot to the head, for the moment when body hits are not stopping a threat. There are drills timed to the fraction of a second, where a man must draw and hit a small target inside a shrinking window, then do it again and again, chasing a standard measured in tenths. There are transition drills, moving from a rifle to a pistol in the blink of an eye. There are drills done with one hand alone, in case the other arm is wounded. Each drill is a small, brutal examination, and each is repeated until it can be passed cold, on demand, in front of an instructor, on the worst day of the year. All that repetition does something else too. It makes the weapon disappear. An operator who has fired a rifle hundreds of thousands of times knows it the way you know your own hands. He can feel a malfunction beginning before it fully happens, diagnose it by the sound and the recoil, and clear it in the dark without a conscious thought. The weapon stops being a separate object he operates and becomes part of the way he moves. That is a level of familiarity only volume can produce, and it is invisible from the outside. You cannot see it in a photograph. You can only see it in the total absence of hesitation. And they do all of it in every condition the real world might hand them, in daylight and in total darkness under night vision, from inside cramped vehicles and through narrow doorways, wearing heavy protective gear, or a gas mask that fogs and shrinks the view to a slot, cold, wet, and hollowed out after days with almost no sleep. Because a skill that only works on a sunny range in perfect conditions is worthless the night it is actually needed. So the volume is not merely high, it is spread across every miserable circumstance an operator might one day face, which multiplies the training many times over. It is not enough to have fired 1,000 rounds. You must have fired them everywhere, in everything, until nothing about the environment can surprise you. So why does not everyone train this way? If volume is the secret, why does the whole army not simply shoot more? The answer is unromantic, and it is the real reason the gap exists. It is money and it is time. Every round costs money. Every hour on a range is an hour not spent doing the 100 other things an ordinary unit must do. Ranges are limited. Ammunition budgets are limited. And so the enormous volume that Delta enjoys is not an accident of talent. It is a deliberate institutional choice, a decision by the nation to fund and schedule one small group of men to shoot more than anyone else, because their mission demands it and the country is willing to pay for it. The average soldier does not shoot like a Delta operator because the Army cannot afford to let every soldier shoot like a Delta operator. Add it up over a career, and the difference becomes almost absurd. A typical soldier, across years of service, might fire a few thousand rounds in total. A Delta operator can fire that many in a single week, and over a career the number climbs into the millions. This is not a small edge. It is not the difference between a good shooter and a great one. It is a categorical gap. The difference between a person who has done a thing a few hundred times and a person who has done it more times than he could ever count. And here is the part that is genuinely useful for the rest of us. It means the mystery is not really a mystery. These men are not a separate species. They were built, not born. Take almost anyone with sound fundamentals and a good instructor, give them that volume of correct, focused repetition, and their shooting would be transformed beyond recognition. That is not a comforting thought for those who prefer to believe elite skill is a gift handed out at birth. It is a demanding one, because it means the ceiling is set by the work, not by the genes. What Delta proves, more than anything, is the brutal power of doing one thing correctly 10,000 times, and then 10,000 more. There is a useful comparison here, one that strips away the mystique entirely. Think of a concert pianist, or a professional golfer, or a surgeon. None of them is a different species. Each is simply a person who has performed one narrow set of movements so many thousands of times that they operate at a level the rest of us can barely comprehend. A Delta operator is the shooting equivalent of that pianist. The gift, if there even is one, is not in the hands. It is in the willingness and the opportunity to do the same correct thing an unreasonable number of times. And there is one more piece most people miss. In that world, a single sloppy repetition is treated as a genuine failure, even in practice, because a habit built carelessly in training is a habit that will surface under fire. The standard does not relax when the stakes are low. It cannot, because the entire point is that there is no such thing as a throwaway round. Of course, the reason they are allowed to pay that price is the stakes. When the hostage is real, when the target is standing in a room full of innocent people, good enough is not good enough. Good enough is a dead hostage and a failed mission. The only acceptable standard is certainty, and certainty cannot be bought or bluffed. It can only be earned, one round at a time, until the man behind the rifle has removed all doubt about where the bullet is going. That certainty is what all those rounds are actually buying. So the next time you hear that no soldier can outshoot Delta Force, understand exactly why, because the why is more impressive than any myth. It is not that these men have gifts the rest of us lack. It is that no other unit on Earth is funded, scheduled, and permitted to shoot the way they do. 40 rounds a year against 1,000 a day. That is the whole story. And it was never really about talent at all. It was about how many times a man is allowed to pull the trigger, done right, before it matters. If you want more of the real mechanics behind the world's most secretive units, subscribe to War Code, and I will see you on the next one.